So who's injured? Let's find out. 30 teams. 30 minutes? Not likely, but we'll find out. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and it's not funny, I got school. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and you can find me on Blue Sky, joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms. You can also check out lockedondaily.com. You sign up for a free newsletter over there for your favorite NBA team. You can also double bang over here. And you just got to hope that next year when I decide what team that I sign up the newsletter for, they don't get cursed the way the Pelicans did. I'll change my Pelicans newsletter, give them a bit of good luck next year. So who should I sign up for as my new Locked On newsletter team to get all the daily insights from? Which team do you want to be cursed with the worst injuries you could possibly imagine next season? Let me know, and I'll ruin their season for them next season. Maybe I could even change it up in the playoffs, and you want to curse a team in the playoffs, let me know. I'll see what we can do. It is today World Obesity Day. So I'm going to guess that just means everyone needs to eat the worst high-calorie foods possible, ultra-high processed food, no exercise. We're trying to hit... No, we're not. We're not trying to be... Okay, scratch that. It's just maybe trying to reduce obesity. That makes more sense, I guess, when we're trying to work out what World Obesity Day is. That makes a little bit more sense. That's okay. All right, we'll figure that out. Let's talk about injuries. Let's go through them. We'll start at the bottom end of the order, and that is the Washington Wizards. They're the bottom team. Of course they are, because they start with W. Jordan Poole is on the injury report for them. I wasn't sure how real this was as an injury, but it's going to be 2 games in a row now, and he was sort of grimacing a little bit with his elbow on the sidelines the other day. He missed the Saturday game against Charlotte. Okay, pretty convenient. I will throw a conspiracy theory hat on here, is that they play Charlotte. On Monday, they've got Miami. And then on Wednesday, they've got the Jazz. Then they've got the Raptors. Then they've got the Raptors. Could it be that they're just going to say, all right, it's an elbow thing for Poole here. He's just going to miss the whole week. It's possible. Miss all of those terrible teams. See if maybe you can keep that little barrier between you two, where they've got 2-3 win gap between those teams. Maybe. Don't know. I know that Brian Keefe said that Malcolm Brogdon would return this season. No, I do not believe that he will. We'll see. They're doing some stuff, obviously, that's weird at times with playing Chris Middleton and Marcus Smart, but I don't think Brogdon's kind of... The wording of that, again, was very much intended to say what they didn't want to say. It's yep, we expect him back before the end of the season. That's not like he's close, he's day-to-day, nothing like that. It's yeah, maybe. And then you'll forget about it by the time you hit April. That's, from doing this for as long as I have, that is how I read that statement. But you don't care about that because you're not rostering Malcolm Brogdon. The Utah Jazz. I'm just going to say that, whatever. I don't know. How would I know? Because they are obviously very weird in terms of what they're doing. I believe that this week, on Wednesday, this is true. They play on Wednesday. Washington, Toronto on Friday, Philadelphia on Sunday. All teams that are in the bottom 6 of the NBA. I think there's a chance that these guys do not play any of those games. And to make matters worse, Lauri Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson have already been ruled out on Monday. All these guys sat on Sunday already, and they've been ruled out Monday against the Pistons. It feels incredibly unlikely that Markkanen, Sexton, Clarkson, Collins, Kessler, debatable, but I think that they're just not going to play this week, and you're going to have a bunch of weird games all through. Now, after that, on Monday, Wednesday, next week, you've got Boston and Memphis. Then you've got Toronto, Minnesota, Chicago, Washington. So it's sort of interspersed. So until we hit about the 20th of March, I reckon, you're going to have ins and outs of these guys, and then they'll all get shut down. 25th or so is around that mark is usually when that sort of stuff happens, and they won't tell you. But if you see Lauri Markkanen and John Collins out for 6 in a row, they're just not coming back. That's my guess on that. But again, we're flying blind here. We're trying to suppose what they're going to do. Toronto. They Dick was injured last game. Old Grady, three Dick injuries. One Dick to his head, to his mouth actually, and then two to his knee. So I don't know. Dick is officially out on Tuesday. So is Ochai Agbaji. So is actually Jameson Battle with a nasal fracture. There's no real timeline on Agbaji or on Dick. They've got a Friday, Saturday back-to-back against two of the worst teams imaginable, Utah and Washington. And then they go into Washington, Philly, and then Utah. Holy shit, what is this schedule for Toronto? Oh my God. All right. So on Tuesday, they play Orlando. Then it's Utah, Washington, Philadelphia, Utah, Portland, Phoenix. Okay. All right. Get ready to be shenaniganized. Hard. Oh my God, that's great. That is, holy crap. That is going to be just an absolute, whatever the opposite of a murderer's row is, someone who tickles you with feathers. Just the worst teams all trying to position themselves to maybe not win as many games as possible. Yeah, okay. So I'd be skeptical of Dick and Barnes and Barrett and Quickly and Pirtle's availability all through that, or at least they're going to be limited in what they do. Garrett Temple's also out for personal reasons, for a reason that I'm not really sure what it is, and again, it's personal, so I don't need to look into it. And then the other one is Brandon Ingram, who I haven't even included on this list. He's just not playing. Again, the words that they used made me, look, they just like, hey, we're turning our focus to the draft and to development, and yeah, we'll see, he might not play a game from us. We'll reassess it every couple of weeks. Cool. He's not playing. No idea what the injury is. Ankle. What kind? No idea. Will they tell us? No. He hurt it at the start of December. And I know this is the slowest healer in the entirety of the NBA. That is not measured, but anecdotal evidence would suggest that. But even this, bro, like, it's, you haven't even had surgery. So yeah, there is weirdness afoot for Toronto, trust me. San Antonio, Goldfinger Charlie Bassey dealing with this knee issue. Obviously, he's had multiple knee issues. They called it, what do they call it? Something incredibly weird. Acute chronic gluteus, something absolutely insane in terms of the bone bruise, they called it, like a term that makes no sense. All that's to say is, I've put him out until about mid-March. I don't think Bassey's going to play again this season. He had a prime opportunity to step into a 22-minute role and put up great numbers. It's not happening, so you don't need to roster him. You move on, and you don't roster Bismack Biyombo, obviously, and they're going to lose a lot of games, and that means they're going to give a lot of shots to Steph Castle, and Steph Castle's going to be incredibly inefficient, but he is going to put up big numbers on big usage and big scoring and big fantasy points numbers during this time, and then just get ready for the De'Aaron Fox finger surgery around the 22nd of March. We might guess. Just get ready for that. In Sacramento, they did the thing. I went on about it at the start of the recap show yesterday. I said, oh my God, I can't believe it. We saw the man pull a hamstring and they just said it was soreness. Wow, what a shock that is. Get ready for them in a day's time to label it as a hamstring strain. Guess what? 2 hours or an hour after I did the recap show, they announced it as a hamstring strain because that's what these teams do for whatever idiotic reason they do it. I don't know. And I know they said reevaluate in 1 week. And I know NBA teams are useless at managing hamstring injuries. I don't care that they're reevaluating 1 week. I'm saying it's about 2 to 3 weeks for Sabonis. So we're adding Jonas Valanciunas. Deep leagues, it's Trey Lyles. It's a terrible timing for Sabonis. But it also goes to show, like, yeah, I've had arguments with Kings fans in the past when I talked about, hey, they've had some real luck with injuries. No, it's just because our team's tough. It's because our medical staff is awesome. Or you're lucky. Because if you're going to go out and say those sort of things, this goes for anybody in terms of any player and team. If you're always going to go out and say that our team is tough and they play through things, or our medical staff is awesome, well, when they get an injury, you got to say the opposite. That's how it works. You got to say the opposite. You got to say that now the player's soft, he won't go and play through it, and our medical staff sucks. Because you can't just give praise, and then the opposite happens. It's like, oh, well, I guess it happens. Yeah, it does. You're right. It does happen. And there's a lot of luck involved in it. There are certain situations which aren't always luck, but there is a lot of luck involved in it. So Sabonis, yeah, I've got around a 20th of March return happening there. Valanciunas will be the ad. He won't do defensively what he did in the last game, but he is the ad. Keon Ellis's numbers bump up as well, so a very clear roster spot for Keon. In Portland, I'm worried. I'm worried. The calendar turned to March, and Jeremy Grant's knee turned into a pile of graham crackers. It just disappeared, the knee. It's gone. What happened to it? Knee tendinopathy. Oh, really, Jez? Oh, no. Shocking, that is. So he missed the 28th of February, missed the 3rd of March. Jeremy Grant is out again on the 2nd of March and 3rd of March. He's out on both of those. I just don't know. We know the man's history of playing, 10 games total in March, April over the last 6 years or something? It might even be less than that. I don't know that he's out for the season. I put it up on the screen there on the graphic as somewhat like jovially. That's a terrible word, jovially. Man, why did I try to say that word? That's a terrible word. That maybe he's back in October, because this has happened for 3 consecutive years in Portland and in Detroit. So is it the same again? I don't know. I'm not going to rule that out. I actually also think we're at real risk of Rob Williams not playing again this season with another knee situation that I don't know what the problem is. They just all of a sudden, hey, he's out with a knee problem. Of course he is. I think he might be done. Will we ever see the painter Matisse Thybulle this season? Don't know. He had a knee injury, came back, suffered an ankle injury, must be of the Brandon Ingram type. He hasn't played yet. He might get a couple of games in at the end of March, April. We obviously don't care about that for fantasy. He might just might not play. And I also think, even though I've got a date there of 25th of March for DeAndre Ayton, I just don't think DeAndre Ayton's going to return either. I don't think that there's any... I think it's a significant calf injury. I saw it be a significant calf injury. I don't think there's any need for him to return, and I don't think he will. So, as much as Donovan Clingan has struggled, and again, people just love to misinterpret the things I say about Donovan Clingan. Yeah, he's been pretty good defensively, but overall, he has not been a good NBA player. That does not mean he is a bad NBA player. It does not mean that he is going to be a bad NBA player in the future or never be a good player, even though I have my doubts. It means currently he is an average to below average NBA center. And that's okay. He is a rookie with limited skills and limited athleticism. But I still think you got to roster him in fantasy. I think you do have to roster Donovan Clingan, because there will be much better games than what he served up last game. And I think the other centers are not going to play. Let's go to the next one. We're talking Phoenix, who, if you were talking like just vibes, everyone would be on the injury report because it's the worst vibe situation almost that I've ever seen, and one of the worst, biggest disappointment years of all time. They hate each other. They hate their coach, the manager. Everyone hates each other. No one plays. No one knows what to do. The only guy that's actually injured, though, is Cody Martin. Yeah, Cody Martin plays first team. Well, he hasn't yet. He's dealing with a sports hernia. Who knows? I don't know. Another week or so for him, maybe. About the 10th of March. He's not going to have a fantasy impact, but he's a name that plays for the team that's on the list. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready, because I'm not going to say it because I don't want to say it, but if they go big, if they bang in a 50, well, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. It's very, very simple. In the 24-25 NBA regular season, of which we've got 6 weeks left, if an NBA player drops 50 points, you get 50% off, up to $10 off the next day from noon through to midnight. What do you want to get? What would you order? What's your number one DoorDash 50 bomb order? Would you do DoorDash from memory? DoorDash, I apologize if it's incorrect, because I don't really use... DoorDash has only just come to Australia recently, so I'm just starting to get into using it. And I've used it in America, but you can do things like pick up groceries and pharmacy items as well as food, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that's okay. I'm sure DoorDash doesn't care for me to say that, but that's okay. Whatever food you want to get, whatever orders you want to get, sushi, pizza, burgers, chips / fries, suvas, dimmies, potato cakes, whatever it is, you can get it through DoorDash. So sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save when any player scores 50 or more in a game. Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use the promo code NBA50. From noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders of participating merchants. You must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. Okay, let's get into the rest of these teams now. Hopefully, there won't be any significant rants that I go on. You never know, though, do you? The next team we're going to look at is Philadelphia, and we know things are horrendous there at the moment, aren't they? Joel Embiid is done for the season with his knee issue. I would imagine that he's having surgery. I would imagine that his start to next season will be delayed, and I would imagine that I would not draft him in the top 50 of any fantasy drafts ever again. Very, very straightforward. When you have the multiple meniscus injuries, you're cooked. So far, that is basically an undefeated mantra. Multiple meniscuses, same knee, done. And that's where we're at with him. Eric Gordon's out for the season as well, with wrist surgery. That one was pretty obvious to see coming. Kelly Oubre popped up as ill on the injury report on Monday, and Paul George is questionable with a groin soreness issue on Monday, which is a back-to-back Portland, Minnesota. Would they think they would lose against Portland? Maybe. if they sit those guys, they think they can lose that one and then play them against Minnesota? Philadelphia has very firmly now entered into the, let's see who sits on the games against bad teams, because they want to get themselves firmly in that top 6, hopefully top 5 for lottery odds, keep the pick, push their odds up for number 1. And just 2 guys who are dealing with injuries. George with his finger/groin/knee, and Maxey with a hand injury. And they are legitimate injuries. So just we got to be ready for that. And Kyle Lowry is dealing with his hip issue. There's been zero update on this whatsoever. This is since pre-All-Star break. They're calling it hip injury management. You know what the management is? He's done and he's not going to play ever again. Is that the management? Hey, your hip is old. You're having a hip replacement. You're never playing again. Is that how they're managing it? They are one of the worst injury reporting teams in the NBA. What they'd probably come out with is one of the more convoluted descriptions of an injury which they've done in the past. Kyle Lowry is dealing with hip injury management due to the proximal condyle on the top of his femur ball socket / whatever. I haven't even used enough medical terms in there because I didn't properly research all of them. But they do something stupid. Just say, dude's rooted. Let's go on to the next team. It is your Orlando Magic. Jalen Suggs had the back injury, came back, played a game, copped a quad injury, was rehabbing from the quad contusion, and suffered a knee injury, which was a trochlear issue, which is the top of the bottom of the femur leading into the knee joint, and they found bits and pieces that need to be taken out. So the bottom line is he's having knee surgery. So guess what? With 6 weeks left, you're not coming back from knee surgery. I wouldn't have thought. I don't know that for sure, but we're dropping Suggs without any question. And I just don't think maybe he makes a push for the playoffs. But from what I understood, looking at that trochlear injury, if you have surgery for it, recovery, 6 months. So they keep saying, he will make a full recovery. Yeah, I'd hope so. I'd hope you're not taking his leg off. But they didn't say he's making a full recovery this season. So he's making a full recovery. Yeah, again, if you came out and said he's having an injury and he's having a surgery and he won't make a full recovery, you go, bro, maybe try a different doctor, because the idea of surgery is to make a full recovery. So the wording on that is made to seem like, hey, he might still come back, and they didn't say it, so that makes me think that he's not. Rehab will determine when he returns. Yeah, October 2025. I'm not confident. I am confident. I'm not certain, but I am confident that he's done. Trying to read through, and again, there are 4 teams, I would say, who are horrific at injury reporting. Philadelphia, Memphis, Charlotte less so anymore, not really anymore, and Orlando. Some of the worst injury reporting you get is from the Magic. They're early on injury reports, but they give no detail, no long-term prognosis at all, ever. The Oklahoma City Thunder, the Thundermen, they are got a couple of injuries there. Chet is fine, which is great, so he's playing on Monday. The only injuries at the moment are Isaiah Joe, who's out again with a back issue. Maybe he's back for their next game after that. And then AJ Mitchell, who we might see return in April, but honestly, there's just no impact there. Joe being out, though, means Wiggins, Dort, Wallace, all those guys, Caruso get a floor bump, which helps them be a little bit more useful for streaming. If we go on to the next team, which we are going to do, it is the New York Knickerbockers, the only player currently on that injury report. We had one center on the injury report for a long time, and that was Mitchie Robinson, who is back, and people are still holding Mitch Robinson in 12-team leagues. What are you doing? Please drop him. Please, just use that spot for streaming. There is no reason to hold Mitchell Robinson in 10 or 12 or 14-team leagues. It is not useful. I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. It seems insane to me to do that. Ariel Hukporti is the guy who was out with a torn meniscus. I've got an 8th of April return. It doesn't matter. Even if he returns, he's just not going to play. So we don't worry about that. By the way, there are a few players this season who are not going to play a single game for their teams. There is one player that I can tell who's been on a roster all season who has not played a single game. And that's one of those things that's hard to do. I remember back when I started this show, there was a guy that used to play for the Kings, I think Duje Dukan, who was the guy that hadn't played a game all season. He got in for the final game of the season. And that meant that everyone who was on a roster who was healthy had played a game all season. Kevin McCullough has been signed to a 2-way contract for the Knicks all season. He was a 2nd-round draft pick, has not played a single game yet. Will Tom Thibodeau do it? Will Kevin McCullough play a game? We'll see. It doesn't really matter that much. But I would like for the man to be on an NBA roster to see 5 minutes of court time somewhere. Let's talk about the New Orleans Pelicans, who have had a terrible run, obviously, with injuries. At the moment, though, outside of the out-for-season guys, the only player there is BJ Boston, who sprained his ankle like weeks ago. Are we getting the Brandon Ingram here? It's been like over a month since BJ hurt his ankle, and in that time, he's had his contract converted. But I don't know if he's going to play. I've got no idea. So I'll say that he's doubtful for their next game, but there's opportunities here for him. You've got guys like Bruce Brown and Antonio Reeves getting 21 minutes the other day. Jose Alvarado, Jordan Hawkins. BJ was great at the start of the... Well, yeah, always. But BJ was great at the start of the season when everyone was out. So this must be a significant thing. So just keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on when we get Boston returning. Because there is a chance here. But this is a long-term bloody injury. And absolutely no updates on it whatsoever. None at all. No idea when he's coming back or what the story is. Today's episode is brought to you by Open Phone. When you are running a small business, you wear a lot of hats. I've got a lot of hats, but you wear a lot of hats when you're running that small business. And sometimes you can get the blend. You don't want the blend, the personal and the business all jumping together. And that becomes tough. You're juggling customer calls all day, and it's hard to manage everything. Well, Open Phone is the #1 business phone system designed to help you keep your work and professional life separate. For just $15 a month, that's not very much. You get complete transparency and visibility into everything happening with your business phone number. OpenPhone works through an app on your phone or on your computer, and it integrates with tools like HubSpot and hundreds of others. It uses AI-powered call transcripts and summaries, so you'll have a rundown of your calls and action items the second that you hang up. And if you miss a call, well, they can do automated messages sent directly to your customers, ensuring that you never miss an opportunity to engage. Right now, OpenPhone is offering you 20% off your first 6 months when you go to openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. That is OPENPHONE.com/LockedOnNBA for 20% off for 6 months. openphone.com/LockedOnNBA. And if you've got existing numbers with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. All right. Let's go into the next team here. There's no way we're hitting 30 minutes here because I've just been a little verbose with what we've been saying. That's okay. I think, maybe, I hope. Minnesota, though, we don't have a lot to talk about. Rudy Gobert, still dealing with the back spasms. He has been out since the 12th of February, pre-All-Star break. We are closing in there on like 3 to 4 weeks. They've got a back-to-back here for Tuesday, Wednesday. Fairly certain that it's against Philadelphia and Charlotte. Fairly certain he doesn't play in those ones, but I don't know. So if we want to just go ahead and say, well, he's not playing both of them. Feel good about that he's not playing both. So if he sits Philadelphia, would he come back for Charlotte? Maybe. So it's people are asking me, and have been for like a week, do I drop Rudy Gobert? I wouldn't do that. But if you are in the playoffs right now and Gobert is ruled out for Tuesday, that means they've got 3 more games during the week. Charlotte, Miami, San Antonio. Might he play 2 of those? And how slow will they be in ramping him back up? It does become a discussion. I don't think I'd be ready to do it. And again, I would hope that you just can hold him in IL. But I don't know. It's getting to be a discussion at this point. The next team we take a look at, we go into the Milwaukee Bucks. Paddy Connaughton has dealt with a calf strain. This man has just fallen off completely. His career is really struggling at the moment. Like, he was a serviceable role player for a bit, but he absolutely is not anymore. So he's a calf strain, whatever, doesn't matter. Bob Portis, he's eligible to return on the 8th of April. And the other one is Pete Nance, who they're signed to a 2-way. He's dealing with an ankle sprain. He won't be able to... he's not going to play that much. Interestingly, one of their 2-way guys, Ryan Rollins, had no games left, and they just converted him right now to a full-time contract. So Rollins is back in business. That means that Porter does not have full run at being the backup point guard now. Rollins had been out for the last 3 games because of the contract situation. And now, well, that's not true, actually. Yeah, he missed the game on Saturday. The other 2 were his final 2 active games, but they have now converted him, so he is available to play, Ryan Rollins. Let's go to Miami now, where there are a few guys on the injury report, but nothing that's majorly long-term. Andy Wiggins has missed 2 games in a row. He's questionable for the game on Monday against the Wizards. They also just added Davion Mitchell to the injury report with a quad issue, so if he is out, you are going to get a lot more Alec Burks into that spot, and probably more Terry Rozier, as their guard depth is pretty limited after that. Khalil Ware is dealing with a knee sprain. Mitchell Robinson did fall on his knee in the game yesterday. But this is the other knee, so I don't really know what happened there. And you never want to hear knee sprain and big man. I would guess it's at least a 2-game absence, and maybe they've got a Friday, Saturday back-to-back situation. And yeah, you'd think that where there's a risk he plays 1 game this week, or even 0, trying to put him in your IL if possible. But if you are in playoffs, and there is a risk that he does not play that much this week, and he is one of your worst 2 to 3 players, well, you don't have to hold him. I know it's a bummer, but that is a possibility here. Jaime Jaquez is dealing with an ankle sprain. He had been out of the rotation and got an opportunity with Wiggins out, then hurt himself. We're obviously not rostering him. I think he probably misses the next couple, but I'm not sure. And then Little Chungus Nikola fractured his hand, probably end of March, maybe whole regular season. We don't really need to bother with holding on to him. The Memphis Grizzlies, they're just a team that's going to always seem to have someone on there, aren't they? Demetrius Morant missed the game on Saturday, so he's questionable here officially for Monday. Desmond Bane, who was out on the weekend, same with Brandon Clark and Vince Williams, they're all available to play. And then Santi Aldama popped up today with calf soreness, so they're both questionable. 2 of their two-way guys are out as well. Zion Pullen with a knee issue and Yuki Karamura with a hamstring issue. But again, they're just not going to have an impact to many people. And Morant and Aldama, not anything long-term, I'm guessing. The next team we take a look at, the LA Lakers. Austin Reeves is the bigger news there. They said it's calf soreness, which should give you fears everywhere. Now, JJ Redick came out and lied and said to us that nothing showed up on the... Well, no, let me rephrase that. He didn't lie by saying nothing showed up on the MRI, but he said there's no bone or no muscle issues. Okay, so why is he not playing? Let's see what happens. But soreness is just the injury designation du jour. And when you leave a game after 9 minutes and don't return and then miss the next one, you know what? It's not soreness. It's a strain. Very simply, it is a calf strain. And I don't know why we go through these lies. It's a strain. So will Austin Reeves, I'm going to label him doubtful for their game on Tuesday. Will he play Thursday? That's getting to a week. I would think that a weekend Saturday return against Boston makes some sense. Maybe they push him to play against the Knicks on Thursday. I don't know. The other one there is Rui Hachimura, who's dealing with that knee issue. They're starting Dorian Finney-Smith in his place. Hachimura, you don't hold on to him. He's not good enough to hold on to. He is out, and he'll be out all of this week at least, and then maybe back next week. And then Jordan Goodwin, who, with Reeves out, had an opportunity to step into a somewhat larger role. Now, he's only got 11 games left that he can play on his 2-way contract. He's got a grade 1 ankle sprain, so that's going to probably cost him like 4 or 5 days, maybe 7 days. So I would say, I say he's doubtful for the next game, but maybe the rest of the week he doesn't play. And that means that someone like Gabe Vincent gets an increased run, so does Shake Milton. For the Clippers, Norman Powell came back from his knee soreness, which sort of came out of nowhere, and then hurt his hamstring. And guess what they called it? You'll be shocked. They called it hamstring soreness. So I saw him leave after 9 minutes with hamstring soreness, and guess what it's going to be? A hamstring strain. So I'll put him out for at least a week to 10 days here, maybe more, maybe 2 weeks. Don't know though. And that's a bummer. He had a hamstring issue earlier in the season, and I criticized them for it. They mishandled it, and I think it cost them. I don't know that this has got anything to do with that because there is a huge gap in between, but I just hope they don't mishandle it again. So Powell is probably going to be out here. Derek Jones has got what they called a groin strain, so he left on Sunday, so that's got to be at least a week. So I would think both Powell and Jones are out, which means that Bogdan Bogdanovic is going to get a minutes boost, and he might become streamable. It means Chris Dunn's value rises, his floor rises in particular, Amir Coffey's value rises as well. And then you're going to get random Jordan Millers or Kobe Browns or Patty Mills, because they have a back-to-back. So Kawhi's going to sit one of those games, and Ben Simmons sat the last game, and it wasn't a back-to-back. Knee soreness. So Simmons is going to sit one of the next 2 as well. And yeah, we'll see where that goes. You don't want to roster Ben Simmons. Indiana. We've got Benny Mathurin, who missed the last few games with a wrist issue. They haven't issued an update on this yet. Him coming back means Neesmith and Nembhard value drops and Mathurin drops, and they're all part of TMC, of course. The Mathurin Collective. It's named after him. The group of guards who you just go, well, I guess we try him out. And then we look over and go, oh, there's Tim Hardaway. Oh, there's Isaiah Joe. Oh, there's Aaron Wiggins. Oh, there's Alex Caruso. Oh, there's Carson Wallace. There's Cole Anthony. Just a bunch of guard wings who you can just rotate in and out. Luke Kennard, hey, good to see you, my guy. So many of these options that you can stream through. Amir Coffey, Bogdan Bogdanovic. What's the difference between all of these players? It's not much. And again, when we go back to the streaming idea through fantasy, that is why streaming 7 games versus 3 of one of those players is just the biggest no-brainer of all time. Yeah, I hope. It played out that way last week anyway. Houston, for Van Vliet, stepped on the official's ankle, or stepped on his foot, re-sprained his ankle. He's out on Monday. They've got a Tuesday game against the Pacers, then a couple against the Pelicans. Wouldn't be shocked if he missed more time here. It's been a very frustrating season for Van Vliet, and this is the thing that I was pretty big on Van Vliet this season, because he's had a very good track record of doing this. The thing that happened to Van Vliet this season is not necessarily that he shot poorly, because we knew that, is that his usage dropped. His assist rate fell, and he's a small guard. And small guards, they will hit the cliff. They will hit the wall, and that's a very big worry here. Now, they still need Van Vliet, because when he's not there, they are so much worse. But we have to be a little bit worried here where Van Vliet returns. And then they're listing everyone as questionable. Thompson, Brooks, Şengün, Eason, and Adams all questionable on Monday. They've got a back-to-back Tuesday. We know Eason's not going to play both of those. And I would say that a lot of these guys are going to sit one of these 2 games against either the Thunder or the Pacers. That's looking very, very certain, I would say. Which game, I don't know, but they're sitting them. The Golden State Warriors, the only guy on the injury report at the moment, Jimmy Butler is probable, Quentin Post is probable, so I'm not going to include probable guys, even though I just did. But John Kuminga, who injured his ankle weeks ago, it was a significant ankle injury. There is a chance he returns on Tuesday against the Knicks. They've got a Tuesday, Thursday, New York combo platter in New York against the Nets, obviously, after that. And with Kuminga out, we're getting more Podziemski, we're getting more Post, you're getting 10 minutes of Kevin Knox for some reason. But when Kuminga returns, it's going to impact Post, it's going to impact Kuminga, it's going to, Podziemski, it's going to impact Moody. So we just need to see how they integrate him and Jimmy Butler together. On to the Detroit Pistons. Only Tobias Harris is on here for personal reasons. I have no idea what the personal reason is. I don't know how long it's going to cost him. Their next game is Wednesday against the Clippers. I don't even know if he's with the team on the road trip. So just be aware of that. With him out, I would imagine that we get more Asar Thompson minutes, and then we get extra minutes for someone like Dennis Schroeder, Fontecchio, Rugged Ronnie Holland, those sort of players. Isaiah Stewart also popped up on the injury report just now as questionable with back contusion. They are playing the Jazz, so it's a good opportunity to rest guys. And if Stewart is out, Paul Reed will be your deeper league stream guy in that position. The next team we go to is the Denver Nuggets. Aaron Gordon, ankle sprain, has missed 2 in a row. That's got to be a little concerning. They started Zeke Naji in one of those games and Russell Westbrook in the second one. If Westbrook is starting and playing 30 minutes, he's at least streamable. But that's it. We're not looking at him long term. We also got 47 minutes of Christian Brown last game, which is obviously ridiculous, but that's what happened. And Peyton Watson could be returning later this week from a knee injury. The other one there is Vlatko Čančar, where when he hurt his knee, it looked like he tore his ACL again, and they've just said, hey, knee sprain, knee surgery. All right. I don't think I immediately said, well, he's done for the year, but they said, no, he's not. But bloody looks like it, doesn't it? So I don't know when Vlatko Čančar is returning. I've got there the 19th of March, but I don't know. No idea. Dallas. Very hard to fully sort of mark down what's going on here. Paul Washington Jr. returned. He played 15 minutes, hurt his ankle again. He's out on Monday. They go Wednesday, Friday, Sunday after that. You would have to think coming back from an ankle injury, re-injuring the ankle is a significant risk here of him missing more time, and they don't have Moses Brown. Is Kai Jones going to be their starting center? Are they going to go back to Kessler Edwards or Olivier Maxence Prosper as their center? Does Dwight Powell move into the starting lineup? Do you want any of them? The answer is no. But we just need to watch what they do. Caleb Martin, who came across at the trade deadline in what was an insane trade, trading away Quentin Grimes to get Caleb Martin. Why? Ridiculous. So I don't get what Nico Harrison, shout out for being the worst GM in the world. Caleb, maybe a week, I don't know. And then the other centers. They said they're doing a reevaluation or an update on the centers at the end of this week. It's very convenient to me that they're all having a reevaluation at the same time. Lively and Anthony Davis, I still think, and again, they have never ruled out surgery for Anthony Davis. Just remember that. I'm not saying he's going to get it. There is some footage of him doing some work and getting up some shots pre-game. But they keep saying every time they give an update on Anthony Davis, no, he's working, he's getting there, we'll see. Yeah, just trying to make sure, dude's doing the work and say, hey, he can avoid surgery. Like, bro, you haven't ruled it out. That is incredibly terrifying. So I think that we are absolutely at a greater than 0% chance that Davis is done for the year. I don't know that. Derek Lively, the original estimate on him with the foot fracture suggested he'd be out for the season, and then they came in and said, oh no, he's reevaluated here. But again, foot fracture, big man, what are we doing? Why would we bring him back early? I don't know. And then a grade 3 MCL for Daniel Gafford, which is like a 4-month injury. They haven't ruled him out for the season. There's no way if it's a real grade 3 MCL he's playing. Like, he's not. But I don't know. There's a lot of obfuscation going on here for very specific reasons, obviously, because their entire fan base hates them. So maybe they return, but I wouldn't be banking on it for any of them. Lively, Gafford, or Davis. PJ, I think we've got to be a bit worried about that where he is rest of season here, or at least the rest of this week. Sorry, Conspiracy Josh just really like leaning in here a bit. Cleveland, nobody. They're clean. No one's on the injury report. Donovan Mitchell rested the last game. I think you'll see a few of those down the stretch here for certain players like Garland, Mobley, Allen, Mitchell again. They'll rest games without really any question because they are a mile ahead of everybody. The Chicago Bulls, I question everything about this squad at all points. I don't know what direction they're ever going. Why did they trade Zach LaVine just to get their pick back so that they could then make that pick worse? Like, why? I don't have any understanding of what they did. They're pushing for the plan. They're probably going to make it. But then, like, is Vuce actually injured? Was Herter and Ball actually injured in a game on the weekend where they didn't play? I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. I don't have any understanding of the direction here. Did Dosunmu, could he have pushed through the injury and had surgery in the offseason? Because it wasn't something they said, hey, torn labrum, can't move it. They just said shoulder instability, which to me feels like, hey, that's not great. You're probably going to need that fixed up. But maybe you could play through it if we were pushing. So I honestly just don't know what they're doing. But every little thing that happens at the moment makes me go, yeah, they're really going to do it? Are they actually going to push into shutting guys down? Maybe? I don't know. And last game we saw like Zach Collins start over Jalen Smith. Is that what they're going to do? I don't know. Patrick Williams dealing with a knee issue. He could be back at the end of this week. One thing I know for sure, we don't want to roster him, although he could have an occasional big game. Dosunmu done for the year, and then Herter and Ball missed the last game. I expect that that's a one-game thing, and I do not want Herter outside of 3 streaming. And Ball I probably do want, not as much in points leagues. In category leagues I do. The next team we look at is another C team. It's the Charlotte Hornets. And at the moment, the only guys on the injury report are Josh Okogie, who's had a very long hamstring injury, which again, hamstrings are serious things, we know that. And I think he's probably out the rest of this week, maybe the week after. And Taj Gibson popped up with an illness, which doesn't really matter that much. Yusuf Nurkic is off the injury report. Seth Curry is probable after missing the last game. Wendell Moore is probable after missing the last game. And Miles Bridges, who's on the injury report, but he's listed probable too. So, I don't know. And then you got the LaMelo Ball and Mark Williams stuff. They got a back-to-back at the end of this week on Friday, Saturday against Cleveland and Brooklyn. So does Mark Williams and LaMelo Ball both sit on Saturday? Probably, I guess. But I don't know. They're terrible with or without them. Do they need to preserve those guys and their health? Maybe. There is a chance that both of these guys do play out the season, of course. But whether they do or not is still up in the air. And then they've got the problem with guys like Damian Barr and KJ Simpson, who are replacements for LaMelo, but they're on 2 ways and they can only play 50% of the remaining games. So are they just going to go back and forth, making it almost impossible to use them outside of single game streaming when you know that they're going to be in the lineup? In Brooklyn, I had some injuries on this list, and at the moment, some of them aren't there anymore because the only guy currently injured is Noah Clowney. And we haven't had any real update on Clowney, apart from he started to do a little bit of one-on-one work. I think he probably is out the rest of this week, and I'd say, given the amount of time off that he's had, he's not going to have any chance, I don't think, to have a real impact at any point soon. So obviously we're not holding on to him. But D'Angelo Russell's off the injury report. I thought he was going to be out at least one more game, but I guess the fact that they didn't re-sign Killian Hayes on the 10-day suggested that Russell was returning. Here he is. Now what are they going to do with D'Angelo? He's going to play 23 minutes? He's going to play 30? What happens with Cam, with Claxton, with Thomas? I don't know. This team remains a complete mystery. While the pimple Derek Whitehead, I had some hope for that guy as a player. He's shown absolutely nothing. The injuries have got him all season. I'd be very, very concerned about where his career goes from here. In Boston, they don't play until Wednesday. There's only 2 injuries to talk about. One of them is Drew Holiday. Can't even pick up a ball, apparently, with how bad his finger is. They've got a Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back. It seems incredibly unlikely to me that Drew would be available for at least the first game there. And then you've got Porzingis, who's dealing with an illness. Remember we had that weird thing where he was scratched in that game on Tuesday, last second scratch. And then post-game they said, nah, he's fine for the next day. And then he's missed Friday and Sunday with the illness as well. So, okay. What the hell does that mean? And then there's a Wednesday, Thursday coming up here, so he's not going to play both of those. So I don't really know what to make of that with Porzingis and with the Celtics and how they're going to run things. They're going to be less irritating down the stretch than they were last season, but still plenty irritating, I'd say. And then we go to the final team, the Atlanta Hawks, with a few injuries there. Nothing super major. Trae Young just appears every day, probable with the Achilles. Are they just trolling the NBA, or are they setting us up for an absence early on? I don't know. George Niang is out on Monday with an illness. They got a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back, so we'll see how long that illness keeps him out. Vic Krejci maybe returns middle of March. I would think that a fracture in your back probably ends the season, but we'll see. And then the other one is Larry Nance, who I'm very certain doesn't play the rest of the season with a fracture in his kneecap. Seems like, given his history with his knee, that Nance wouldn't be rushing back at any point soon, but we know what this rotation is basically. With Niang out, maybe we get the night watchman Mohamed Wayuge playing a little bit more, and recently signed Dom Barlow gets a little bit of extra playing time in that spot as a maybe back-to-back stream, but that is about it. And that is definitely it for today. Injury update. There's going to be stuff that changes all the time, we know that. And the best way for you to keep up is to subscribe to make sure you never miss a show, to thumb up and leave comments. Hope you're in the playoffs. Hope you're on the way to the playoffs. Hope you've had a fun and good season. And hey, don't worry. We still go all the way through the offseason. Plenty of fun stuff, NBA draft stuff, season recap stuff, strategy. It's so much stuff that I think is, and I try and keep it fun and entertaining as well. So make sure you stick it around. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.